coaching. Like, that's his power. How does he do it? Well, I'm going to share 4 things that I picked up on. 4 things that I sat down and got to know him and re-engineered some of his tools. Number 1, you need to get good at asking people's names and using their names. What President Clinton would do, didn't matter if you had a name badge on or not, he was going to get to know your name, and he was going to use it in the sentences that he would share when he opened his mouth to speak to you. Because it's amazing, they say that everywhere from neurochemists that there's nothing more pleasing than hearing the sound of our own name in a pleasant voice. Think about that. Think about, in your own mind, your name being said in a pleasant sounding voice. It makes you feel loved. It makes you feel acknowledged. And how many people have ever used the excuse, I'm not good at remembering people's names? Come on, raise it, right? I want you to know that's a belief. And I want you to know that if you have trouble with that, that may be because you keep telling yourself over and over and over. That could be 1. And 2, it's maybe because you're afraid, because you hear it once, you're afraid to ask for it again. Look, I would rather ask you like 5 times and be totally with you, your name. And then by the time we're done, remember that name, or at least use it in the conversation. And that's what President Clinton would do. And so as we spend time together, I want you to get to know people and remember them by name. Because that may be the only thing you remember about them in the conversation that you have. But that will mean so much to them. And I'm blessed because I happen to look a little different. So it's very hard to remember my name. No, actually, it's very easy to remember my name. Not all of us have that unique ability. So when you're meeting people, maybe make some fun little game in your head. If their name is Anna, rhyme that with banana in your head. Do whatever little fun game you can do to remember their name, or remind yourself of somebody else you met with that name that you remember. Create the little games to remember people's names, but remember, that's going to go a long way. Number 2, something I learned from President Clinton. President Clinton had a way of making eye contact. He had a way of locking eyes. And here's what I've seen in my day of being around some amazing people. I've been fortunate to work with some of our star athletes in the world. I've been fortunate to work with some of the pop singers and legends in music and business, and all these people that just get swarmed with people wanting to get their autographs and pictures taken. And I remember that President Clinton had something special to him that most, if not almost all of the others that I've met wouldn't embody. And then when he locked eyes on you and he was talking with you, he wasn't looking around for the more important people in the room to be talking to. He was with you until he was done, until you were done. And he was in your eyes and with you in that moment, creating a bubble around the 2 of you. Because look, if you're creating this energy of, oh, wait, okay, I know I'm talking to this person, but I really want to meet Sean, and Sean's over there. I want to really talk to Vision, or and you're not with the person that you're talking to, well, what energy are you sending out? They're more important than you. And now, what taste does that leave in our mouth? How does it make our heart feel? Even if we're not conscious of it, we're unconscious is picking it up. Number 3 that I've learned from President Clinton. President Clinton, didn't matter who you were, he would ask your opinion about things. And I've noticed that humans are never in a shortage of opinion. I've never heard somebody go, you know, Sean, I don't really have an opinion on that. That may happen once in a blue moon, but the majority of the time, oh, here's my opinions. Blah, 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 blah. Right? And we want to share our opinions. We want to be heard. I think we want to be heard more than we want to talk. Think about that. What's the difference? Talking is just blah, 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 noise. Being heard means that that person is with us, connected to us. And so when we ask somebody their opinion, it's like we're actually making them a miniature expert in our life, in that little bubble, and in that little frame in our life. I remember I was 19 years old when I worked for President Clinton, and I was in the Oval Office, and he turned to me and he said, Sean, what's your opinion on that? And my heart fluttered, and I was like, oh my goodness, like, you're the leader of the free world, and you want to know my opinion. And I walked out of that, and I thought, man, that's one cool tool. I got to bring that into my life. Because guess what? I don't have to agree with your opinion. I can find it just valuable and interesting. I could hate you. I could be like, man, you are a punk, but tell me your opinion. And we create a bond. And it lets the other person know, hey, something in your life, in your mind, in your history could be of value to me. Teach me. And that's what the opinion is really about. Teach me. I think that everybody in this room has something to teach Sean Stephenson. I think everybody in this room has something to teach you. But they're not going to just throw it at you. You have to bring it out of them. And the last thing that President Clinton was really good at, that I want to get everybody in this room good at, except actually he was a real too good at this one, it was touch, okay? When we reach out and make physical contact with someone, there is an electrical exchange. You know, they've studied and they found that waiters and waitresses that just lightly tap the shoulder of their patrons when they first come up to the table, hi, how are you? Just that touch increases their tips. Why? Because it's saying, hey, I see you. Hey, I am actually interacting with you. I mean, maybe you're somebody that's like not touchy-feely, and that's okay. I would actually kind of nudge you out of that mentality if you want to be a leader on this planet. But I'm here to tell you that just the slightest little touch on the shoulder, on the arm, when we shake somebody's hand, I always call it the hand sandwich, where you shake somebody's hand and you clasp over top of it, and you just hold it for a moment. The next individual that I felt I had something to learn from when it comes to connection was His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. First of all, I got to tell you how I met the Dalai Lama quickly. I had a vision board, not like a Vision Lakiani board, but actual. Anyway, I created a vision board, several of them, and one of them was a picture of the Dalai Lama, and I thought, you know, this is it. I'm going to create a bucket list, and on this bucket list is meet the Dalai Lama. I had no clue. You know, there's no way you can pull out like 411, hello, Dalai Lama. No, you can't do that. So what I did is I just threw it out there, right? And I got invited from an individual you're going to hear speaking here, Joe Polish, who is one of my close friends, amazing mentor to me. Joe Polish invited me to go to Necker Island, where I met some of the people in the room here. And Necker Island, which I'll be talking about Richard Branson next. But on Necker Island, I was talking about my bucket list. And that's the thing, when you make your bucket list, the things on your vision board, you have to talk about it. You have to tell people what you want to do on this planet. You can't just be like, oh, I just want it to happen. No, you got to like be vocal, right? So I'm at Richard Branson's living room. I'm telling people, I'm like, oh yeah, so I want to meet the Dalai Lama, blah, 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 blah. And this guy goes, the Dalai Lama? And I said, yeah. He's like, wait, and you're a professional speaker? I said, yeah. And Joe goes, he's not just any professional speaker. He's one of the best professional speakers. I'm like, stop it, Joe. Anyway, and this guy's like, really? And Joe goes on to connect with this guy for me. He's like, seriously, you got to have Sean speak at your event. I'm like, wait, what event? They're like, it's called Engage Today. So Engage Today, Sean, you got to speak at this. The Dalai Lama is going to be speaking. And I'm like, and then that's when it was like, it's happening, right? And so I get to the Engage Today. I meet the Dalai Lama. And I picked up 3 things from him about connection. Number 1, the man has a smile that can melt an angry soldier's heart. A smile that could brighten this room, brighten these lights. So much of connection is right here and up here. Watch, I'm going to smile without my eyes. Now I'm going to smile with my eyes. Is there a difference, yes or no? Okay. The Dalai Lama smiles with his whole body. He's like, he's got this playful wisdom to him. And it's in his smile right off the bat. When you meet people, see, this is a signal. This is like the billboard of what you're bringing to their life. And you want to bring the billboard of like, let's play, right? Let's have fun. I am going to be okay for you to connect with. And you're going to bring that in your smile. And you're going to bring that in your eyes. Your eyes have to get involved. Your eyes have to get big. Your eyebrows have to go up. And there has to be play in your face as a child would do. So what I want you to do is I want you to put on the most warm, connective, silly grin with the big eyes, the big smile. And I want you to lock eyes with at least 5 people looking around the room right now. So look around the room, 5 people. The Dalai Lama's smile, we all have access to it. Second thing I learned when it comes to connection from the Dalai Lama is he always had a sense of playfulness to him. A sense of playfulness. I mean, this is a man that was driven out of his own land. Could have easily been bitter. This is a man that, when he travels in events, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars just for his security because people want to have him killed. And the man brings playfulness. I mean, you have a bad day if somebody screws up your taco sauce on your taco salad, right? This is a man who's like, oh, hey, I could get killed any day now, you know? And he's all like, hey! Folks, we have something to learn there. Playfulness. Slash, I have another word that he used that I believe he brings to connection, which is wisdom. You know, you have access to wisdom. You may think that there's all these other people out there that are wise. You know what wisdom really is? I think it's just really being in touch with your intuition, listening to yourself, and not be afraid to share valuable advice with people, whether they take it or not. See, that's the neat thing about advice. It doesn't have to be taken, but it still can be given. That's okay. So you want to have that sense of playfulness, as if, you know, hey, let's have a party here together. And then also that sense of, hey, you know, I got something intuitively I want to tell you. It kind of feels like maybe you have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder. I don't know what's going on. Can I be of service to you? Or you look a little scared right now or a little lost. Like, how can I be of service to you? You know, having that like wisdom, that intuitive aspect. And the last thing that I learned from the Dalai Lama when it comes to connection is listening. The man listens. I've been a professional speaker for 15 years. And about 10 years ago, I had a young lady come up to me out of the audience and she rolled her sleeves up. And there was these awful scars. She said, why do I do this to myself? And all the oxygen just got taken out of my body. And I went, I don't know. And I got scared and confused. I didn't know, why would a person cut themselves? So what did I do? I went back to school to become a therapist. Because I didn't feel like it was fair to just open up your feelings from being up here on stage and then get off stage and not have a clue what's going on with life. And I have a clue what's going on with the pain in your life. And so I went back to become a therapist, which is really another term for a professional listener. And one of the things that I learned in my training is you never want to get caught in the tendency to just believe that, oh no, I have the habit here. This is your issue. This is your problem. Da, 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 da. Every person comes from a different space. You want to listen to people differently. And listen is not an activity of being quiet while formulating your response. And we see that, don't we? Have you ever said something to somebody and they're like, and they had no clue what you just said? And then you're like, what did I just say? What? What did I just say? And then you can see they're like looking for the tapes. And maybe they even like kick back what you said, but they didn't really hear it. Listening takes place when you put your life on pause. And you stop formulating your response. You just take it in. You know, sometimes, I think honestly, the people we like most to hang around aren't the people that maybe even have the best advice. I think they're the best listeners, the ones we like to hang around. So we want to get good at listening if we want to connect. So then that brings me to the third person that I wanted to talk about today, which is Richard Branson. And what I enjoyed about Richard Branson is when I went to his private island, it was just a magical experience. It felt like I was going to Jurassic Park, honestly. We get in this boat, we're going out to this island. You know, I was waiting for like people to be like, oh. It was weird. And so we get to the island, going up these steps, and people are carrying me. We come in, there's this long kitchen table, a dining room table, and we're eating. And in walks this man. And he's just to himself, and his hair's all wet, and he's in his bathing suit, and he comes, sits down. It's really quiet. And I start observing him. And I started looking at how he's interacting with all these business leaders that are very successful in their own fields. And I picked up 3 things from him when it comes to connection that you want to implement into your life. Number 1, he's a very smooth voice. He modulates his voice in a very calm way. You don't hear him go, hey. No, that freaks us out. What do we want? We want a smooth voice, especially when we want to get a deep connection. We want to lower our voice a little bit. We want to lock eyes, reach out, touch their shoulder maybe, and Keep your voice smooth. It keeps the energy inside of us, allows us to calm down. I love one of our dear friends, Eben Pagan, and he's probably quoting somebody else too. Eben says, the person in the room that has the most power is the one that stays the calmest. Think about that. When you see somebody that's panicked, right? You almost don't want to spend time with them. You're like, I'm not going to survive if I hang out with this panic, right? You want calm, especially if you want to connect. Smooth out your voice and be calm. The next thing I learned, it's similar to what President Clinton did with opinions, but a little different. Richard Branson asked you questions. Ask questions. Because you don't even know where the answers are going to lead you. But two things will happen. That person will feel like they get to share. And we love to share, right? And two, we can get to learn. And so as you ask questions, as you're here, sit down and care about them and say, so, what was the best thing you learned today? And come up with creative questions, not like, oh, so what do you do? Well, we're used to asking that. Say things like, so what was the best thing that happened to you today? What was the last thing that made you laugh? What do you love most about being you? So tell me, what do you look forward to most about when you're going home after Awesomeness Fest? What do you think is the one thing that you wanted to do in your life, but you were too scared to do, but man, if you just had the courage, it may be an awesome experience for you. Get good at asking questions. And ask creative questions. Ever spent time with a little kid? Kids have lots of questions. Why is the sky blue? Why is ice cream cold? Why do we have to go to bed? They ask all these questions, and we see them as connectors. I love kids. On the airplane when we got here, there's this little tiny kid. He's just walking up and down the aisle. He's like, hello, hello, hello. If any one of us did that, maybe outside of me, any one of us did that, you'd be like, sit down. Are you going to attack me? Sit down, right? But it's okay. So you got to ask questions. And the last thing that I learned from Richard Branson, and this is how I experienced him, is he appeared to be extremely humble. Extremely humble. And there's a difference, and I'd like to explain it, between confidence and arrogance and humility and being shy. Let me walk you through that. Confidence and arrogance, that sometimes we're so worried about that little tightrope. I think it's simple. Anytime you're trying to prove yourself to anyone, or even to yourself, that's an element of arrogance. When you're trying to prove something, it's a form of arrogance. And it doesn't have to be maybe a vengeful arrogance, but it is a form of arrogance. And the opposite is confidence. It's anytime you're trying to improve yourself. When you are improving yourself, you're developing your confidence. A truly confident person needs not to tear down anyone to feel good about themselves. A confident person needs not to share all these glorious things that they've done in their life. They can just be in the room and ask you what glorious things you've done in your life. So humility versus being super shy. I think it's okay to celebrate you. I think it's okay for you to celebrate you. But make sure that you're also celebrating other people in the process. Also, this is a little tip, big tip though. If you're ever going to brag, just warn somebody you're going to brag. Say, can I get your permission to brag? And they'll go, yeah. And then you can brag. And then they'll go, you're awesome. And you'll be like, thank you for letting me brag. And that's it. It's that easy. You don't ask that question, you're arrogant. People are like, oh, gosh, I don't want to hear about your trip to Mexico or Costa Rica, right? But if you say, hey, can I brag for a second? I won this award. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Get permission to brag. And people will love you. So let's quickly review this. President Clinton used people's names. He made eye contact. He asked people's opinions, and he reached out and touched, had that physical connection. The Dalai Lama had that smile. He was also playful with that element of wisdom, and he listened. Richard Branson used a smooth, calm voice. He asked questions, and he used humility. He had nothing to brag about. And, I've done some cool things in my life. But at the end of the day, I really don't care if you think they're cool, because I did them for me. And what's cool about that is it builds on itself. People love to support people who do things to impress themselves and no one else. It's not about showing anything to you. It's about sharing things with you. So I would like to share with you my final thoughts about connection. And I have 3 things that I want to share. 1, you gotta see connection as a game of ping pong. And a really good game of ping pong is like really intense. It's like Forrest Gump. It's like bam, 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 right? Connection is the same way. In order for connection to work, there has to be an equal exchange. You have to both share and request sharing. Shannon, would you stand up for a second, please? Shannon is one of my dear friends. Shannon Royster. All right, Shannon, we're going to play little connection ping pong. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. So let's give some encouragement to Shannon right now. Okay. Shannon, what was like the best 3 moments in the last year for you? Like the last calendar year, 2010, what are the top 3 highlights of your year?
Top 3 highlights would be my 2-year-old walking.
Something I haven't
Earlier
mastered.
in the year.
Anyway. Number 2?
My husband having a record year in his company and me supporting that.
Nice.
And getting my health back, losing some baby weight, and
Nice.
feeling reconnected with my core. And
Good, good. Now play a little ping pong here.
Sean,
Shannon, what?
best 3 places you've been in the last year.
I was just speaking in Mexico City, which was awesome. 3,000 people, really awesome. I got to see the beautiful mountains and the sunset in Salt Lake City, Utah. Gorgeous.
Nice.
Wild party town. Get to Salt Lake. Awesome. And I got to go to a gorgeous resort on the side of a cliff in Maine, which was beautiful and had just amazing people around me. So now, here's the thing. We both said each other's names a couple times, did we not? We both made eye contact. We both smiled. We both used each other's names, and we both cared. And we had a 50-50 experience. How many people have you met in your life that just, I gotta go, peace, right? Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about, right? Okay. Now, how many people do you know ask a lot of questions, but also never share about themselves? You leave and you're like, oh, like, what are they all about? Like, who were they? And they kept to themselves. Neither are healthy part of the ping pong game. It has to be an equal exchange. So I play this little game in my mind. When I'm connecting with people, I ask myself, Sean, has the ball been on their side of the table at least 50% of the time? Because I'm a professional speaker, folks. It's very easy for me to go on and on and on. And I have to pull back the reins and go, Shannon, tell me. And get them involved. Be aware of the 50-50 process. And don't hide. You can't be like, oh, I'm just going to be 100% getting to know them. No, you're now leaving them without getting to know you. So does that make sense? Yes or no? Okay. So thank you, Shannon. Let's give Shannon another round of applause. Next thing is praise. Praise is so very valuable. And we do it a lot with the little ones, children, right? We're like, oh, good, you walked, yay. And then they grow like another 10 years and you're like, oh, yeah, you walked. Oh, get out of here, right? Welcome to the species of humanity, right? You stop praising people liberally. You stop praising people. Honestly, you start holding back your praise like, oh, well, they didn't do anything for me lately, so I'm not going to praise. Praise has to flow out of you if you want people to connect to you. So you have to praise them for little things. Oh, I love you, smile. That's just awesome. Thank you for smiling. You know, and you might think like, oh, that's cheesy, Sean. That's okay. I praise you for thinking that's cheesy. Right? That was a joke. Anyway, so we have to interact with people and we have to praise them. And we have to figure out, sometimes we have to figure out what they're up to on this planet. and praise them what they're up to, or praise them how they make you feel. And I always say, praise publicly as much as possible. If you're in a work environment, a team environment, and I've seen Mind Valley does this. I flew all the way to Asia and got to spend time with their team, and praise is big. They have an awesome report, okay, where they praise each other. And you have to spend time with your family, your friends. People are craving your praise. People will go further for praise, oftentimes, than money. I've seen people stick around in jobs where they make very little money, but they stay there because they get praise. And they feel that the praise is authentically shared. The last thing that I want to share with you is about vulnerability. It's not just all about being, oh, I'm awesome, and I never have any bad days. Connection is also about sharing some of your trials and tribulations. It's about being real with people, right? It's about sitting down and saying, hey, you know what? I just got off 2 long flights. My buns are sore. I'm hungry. And you know what? I'm going through a tough time right now, but I'm going to make the best of it. It's not always about putting I just want to talk about the best things about me. It's about being real. Because when we really connect with people is when we hear about their vulnerabilities. Think about the comics that you love, that really make you laugh. They talk about the vulnerable things that the rest of us are too scared to talk about. And they make us laugh because they release that tension. And so as you are going through Awesomeness Fest, I want you to be open with people. If last year wasn't your banner year, not everybody's Sean Royster, if it wasn't your banner year, it's okay. You can share that, because I would rather know what you're really going through than some fake facade that you're perfect. Look, none of us are perfect. And you should create an energy, a bubble around you of, hey, this is me. And it's not also about bringing a train wreck to the station. It's not like, oh, I got to tell you about all my problems. Not that either. Moderation on these activities. But you got to share what's really going on with you. And people will love you the more you let them in. So, by raising hands, how many people learned something out of this talk? Okay? I went 3 shares. I want you to praise me on something that you learned here that was of value to you that you're going to use at Awesomeness Fest. And then I will be complete with this talk. Say your name.
Hi, I'm Austin.
Okay, Austin.
I just like the moment someone cares about us, the moment we open up. I like that.
Thank you. Awesome. Things that you learned that you're going to use. Austin, you're going to care about people. You just outed yourself on that one. Okay.
Sean, I learned that you're a very humble person.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And you're awesome.
Thank you. So, we're going to learn about using humility. Awesome. Let's get one more. Or 2 more, because you guys are awesome.
Sean, I learned from you how to approach people and how to love them without going too deep, but how to appreciate them and make them feeling better.
Can you tell that she popped her comfort zone? I want everybody to give her a round of applause. All right, we had one last share right over here.
Sean, I'm grateful for you teaching me about asking people their opinion, because that's going to allow me to connect with them more deeply, and that's really, really important to me.
Awesome.
Thank you.
It's been my pleasure connecting to you today. Thank you very much.
I hope this episode helped you shift your concept of connecting with others. And if you enjoyed this episode, please go ahead and leave us a review and a rating. And I want to ask you for a favor. Our speakers love it when you mention them in a review. So don't leave a generic review. If you like this episode with Sean, leave a review for Sean. Say, I love this podcast and Sean changed my life, or something to that effect. You don't have to get that excited. But by mentioning our speaker name, when we look at these reviews, we know which speakers stand out for you. And I'm going to actually screenshot those reviews and send it directly to Sean to help make his day. Sean does this to inspire. He did it because he wanted to reach as many lives as possible. So thank you for that review. And if you like what you learned, go ahead and share it on Facebook or Instagram. Be sure to tag @Vishen, Vishen, so I find your post and I can comment on it. Thank you, folks. And Sean on Instagram is 3-Foot Giant. That's the digit 3, not the number 3. 3-Foot Giant. Go ahead and follow him. Vishen Lakhiani, and this is